I made the drive out to Boston for Monday Night Raw this past week at the TD Garden, and I'm glad I did because what a show and what a way to kick things off it ended up being. Now, we talk a lot on the show about, John Cena. What is he going to do? Is he going to become the Intercontinental Champion? That's been a rumor that's been kind of floating around. And on the drive, I was. Yeah.
And remember, I started that rumor on our podcast. I did remember that correctly. I did say at some point we could see Dirty Dom and John Cena. I did call that. I want to say that was a few weeks back, actually.
And a lot of people have been talking about that. And I thought actually we might have been cooling off from that because of the fact that Rey Mysterio and Dom had that little interaction the week earlier on Monday Night Raw. But John Cena did defeat Dominic Mysterio to kick off Raw this past week. I was driving to Raw hoping I knew we were going to get a segment, but I was hoping we get, after a segment, maybe a match with John Cena, like a dark match after Raw's over with, just because it's his last time in Boston. And really to ensure that it's his last time in Boston, you have to have matches. What I mean by that is if it's just his last time at these shows in the sense of a promo, then I don't buy. Listen, I know I believe John Cena when he said he's staying retired, but it is not his last time. He's even admitted that. So if this is his last time at Madison Square Garden in the sense of just being there, no, obviously, I don't think that's true, right? I think that if he's going to go into the Hall of Fame someday, or if they want him for a guest referee spot, or they want him to promote a movie, like he's going to show up on Raw, he's going to show up on SmackDown, he's going to do some sort of promo. That is not going to tarnish his retirement.
Match-wise.
Exactly. So for this to be his last time in Boston in the sense of he's in a match, then he needs a match. Because like I said, like this being his last time in Boston in a WWE ring, well, let's use the Undertaker as an example. Undertaker's retired. Undertaker is not having another match to what we know. Ric Flair is not having another match to what we know. But all of those people have been in a ring and in an arena many times since then. And I don't think that means that they're not retired. I think The Undertaker is retired until he gets back in the ring in a match, right? So I think in order to say this is your last Raw and your last time in Boston, your last time in New York, you have to have matches because, again, I don't think it's going to be his last time at Madison Square Garden. And frankly, I mean, not just in a WWE ring, but what if I see him at a Jonas Brothers concert at Madison Square Garden? Am I supposed to be like, hey, he said he's never going back there again. He tarnished his reputation. Like, it's got to be a match.
And here's the thing. It was a great match that delivered.
Not only
did he deliver winning the Intercontinental Championship in his last match, in Boston, in his home city, but he also captured the crown jewel, so to speak. He did the whole thing where he won every single major championship in WWE. It was funny up until Monday night. I'm like, oh my God, he hasn't won an Intercontinental Championship. It's just so weird because he's won everything else, and he finally got it on his last time in Boston, last match in Boston, I should say.
Yes,
and it was pretty entertaining for what it was.
Yeah, and like a great way to. I mean, I was sitting there thinking that if for some reason we did get it, they'd make it the main event. And then when they made it the first match, I thought it was going to be a quick squash. I thought, well, John Cena's going to win this quick. But then they actually gave us a match in which Dominic Mysterio had most of the offense. So, overall, it was a great segment, but then it was a great match. And what I liked about it, and again, on the discussion driving to Boston, we talk about the difference between WWE and AEW. And Jonathan Coachman says it all the time in his show, is that WWE never used to do, I know they do more of, but they never did at all, what AEW does in the sense of announcing matches ahead of time. AEW announces their dynamites like pay-per-views in the sense of here's the card layout. Raw was just you tune in and you see what happens. Matches might happen, matches might not happen. Promos and segments and vignettes and videos and teasers. That's what the television show is about to lead you to the pay-per-view, right? So that's what was great about this is because, I'm glad they didn't say it was John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio. I imagine if they did, it might have actually made tickets more expensive than they already were. But that is what was great about it in the sense of it felt organically like Raw used to feel, as in now I want to watch Raw this upcoming Monday because is John Cena in a match again? Will he face CM Punk, former champ versus current champ in an exhibition kind of match in Madison Square Garden? Will he face someone else? What will he do? I'm going to tune in to find out. And I'm not just going to say, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen. I like that it felt organic, like an old Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown would feel. You don't announce the match and you have to tune in. And I can tell you that's why when I watch Raw live most of the time, I tune in at the beginning and I tune in at the end. I used to have to tune in the whole time. And I hope we get to a day where I can't turn it off. It's nonstop turn off television. And we're not there yet. But I normally tune in at the beginning and at the end because of the fact that I like that. I need to see what's going to I need to be like, all right, let's see what's going to draw me in. Obviously, when we start to get to some of the matches in the middle that just kind of take up time, then I tune in at the main event. But this would have been one where I wouldn't have missed it because I would have tuned in right at the beginning, like for see John Cena, and would have caught me, just like it did back in the day when Raw would always kick off with The Rock's music or Stone Cold's music right from the get-go, or as we've seen for the last year until Seth Rollins' injury, start with Burn It Down. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a Monday Night Raw where that's the first thing I hear. But they did it organically, and again, they did it in a way of a surprise. And I understand. I did hear after the fact that, it made its round on social media that was probably going to happen, or there was word that was going to happen. It was, to me, a surprise. I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't see that happening. And if you asked me to predict that it was going to happen, I wouldn't have, because of the fact that we talk about this as potential Survivor Series, which I still think it could happen again. But to just pull it out, have it right now on the line, him win the title, like that was not just good for John Cena, but good for wrestling in the way that it was executed. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it was well done. I think it was done the way you need to do it, especially in the world of social media and all this speculation, where a lot of things, in a way, a lot of people get lucky with these guesses, but then it's like, then you're like, you see that speculation online, and you're like, oh, all right. Well, I guess it's probably going to happen. If it doesn't, it's going to suck. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
And I know you were there, live. The whole card was good. It was a good show. We had 2 title changes on one show.
And you wondered when you saw John Cena winning the title, like, okay, well, how are we going to we got to stick around for another like 2 hours after this, right? And then when I found out that the women's tag titles was main eventing the show, I was like, Is this it? There's got to be something, right? There's got to be something, because we're not going off the air, especially when we had the women's title on the line to have the women's tag titles. But give it up for the women's tag titles match. And not just it delivered as a match, but it delivered as a whole segment, right? To main event. And that is a thing that is hard to say about the women's tag team championships.
Even in the middle, though, too. I know you mentioned, when you're watching it and not attending it in person, you kind of back end and front end it, so to speak. So you're watching the beginning and watching the end of it. In the middle was good stuff too. I mean, looking here, it was, essentially Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella there. Nikki Bella turned heel at the end of that match where Stephanie defeated Raquel Rodriguez. Like that was fun. Rusev and Damian Priest, that was a good match. Like it was, every moment on Raw this week felt good. It felt
there was
really
no waste.
good.
There was, listen, I'll say this because I saw this at the beginning. Otis and Tozawa in a tag team match against the New Day. That was on the pre-show. But that's a lot of stuff that they give you on Raw sometimes. And I'm glad it was on the pre-show, not on Raw, because on Raw, we didn't have Otis and Tozawa in a 6-man tag for no reason, right? We had tournament match, championship match, and then obviously in the case of John Cena, championship match. 5 matches on the 2-hour and 20-minute show, 3 championship matches, 2 tournament matches. Everything mattered like a pay-per-view, right? So there was no, this is nothing. Everything was important. 4 of the matches were announced, right? In the sense of the 2 championship matches and 2 tournament matches. So yeah, it was a top to bottom. And we talk about this. I specifically talk about this nowadays, about the term PLE, premium live event, because it doesn't necessarily indicate what's what when you're watching it, in the sense of what's the difference. Because let me tell you, Raw's on every single week, but this Raw was a premium Raw. I think we can learn from the week earlier when they got like 5,000 people in Rancho, New Mexico. Yeah. And this week, I don't want to say they had set an attendance record or anything. They probably set a money record because they do that. But it was a bigger or one of the biggest crowds they've ever had in Boston. I can say that because they sold behind the screen and around, instead of the last time I was there, which was for Survivor Series about 3 years ago, the beginning of the return of War Games. They said they set a record for revenue that night. and half of the arena, they had the taller stage that time and didn't sell behind the stage. So knowing that ticket prices have only increased, meaning that I actually paid about the same, if not a little bit more for this Raw than I did that Survivor Series, and knowing that probably everyone else in the whole arena did, and they had more seats sold, it's probably a revenue record for Boston on Monday night. So it was definitely a premium Monday Night Raw, and we're going to be followed up by another premium Raw at Madison Square Garden this Monday night, where John Cena is obviously going to be there with his Intercontinental Championship. They didn't obviously ruin it too much in the sense of he didn't do too much speech or anything after. They're kind of like, now he'll get to come out on Monday Night Raw and then be a quote unquote the new champ and see where this goes from here. So now I'll ask you, because now he is an Intercontinental Champion. I saw a couple different things, obviously, on Monday Night Raw, whether it's a rematch with Dominic Mysterio at Survivor Series, or whether it's the idea that started to float in my head that I'd ever thought before, but Sheamus maybe being his last opponent. He is, I believe, the Intercontinental Championship shy of being a Grand Slam champion himself. A rival to John Cena, nonetheless, as many are. Maybe he is the final opponent in December at Washington.
Wow, that's a 180 from last week, because we were talking, of the people that were wrestling, he's probably the most likely, but it's not going to happen. Now we're doing a 180 here. I mean, it makes sense, though. I mean, it makes sense because you're passing the torch from Cena to Sheamus, and you're also passing the torch of getting that, that crown jewel, so to speak, where you're the Grand Slam champion. Like you've done it all. Like, to me, that's a crown jewel for me, because that's a crowning achievement where you've done everything in this business. You've done all the big titles. You've won all the big titles. And I think it'd be cool to see that crown be passed from one legend, one future Hall of Famer, to another future Hall of Famer. Because let's be honest, when Sheamus hangs up the boots, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, no doubt in my mind. So this would be, I think you're right. I think you're onto something. I think that could be a really good concept.
It's a little hard, though, just for the idea that, like, you say from one future Hall of Famer to another future Hall of Famer, instead of doing what the old adage was with the Undertaker's streak and trying that fact that if he ever loses it, it's to like an up and comer, somebody who could really use it, not just another person on the roster. Not saying Sheamus couldn't use it. He would use it for sure.
He could definitely use it, because I don't think he has a lot of steam. I don't think he's had. I feel like every time I feel like they're going to get behind Sheamus, they like derail it. So it's like, for me personally, like, I would like to see them to actually give the ball to Sheamus again with this title and let him run with it, because every time he's made these big returns, like, it's good for a few weeks, these bangers after bangers after bangers, and then it's like, where's Sheamus? So that's my point on that. Like, I get your point where it's like, yeah, let's give it to like a Carmelo Hayes or somebody like that. That makes sense, but also what makes sense is Sheamus is still going to be around for a little while. Why not put the title on him, where it's not just one of those things where you had a great champion with Dominic Mysterio, he gives it to John Cena, and then they just give it to somebody else, and then it's kind of like they're playing games with that title where it's just being passed around. Like, I want to go from a Dominic Mysterio reign, John Cena takes it for a short time, kind of bridges the gap, and then I wouldn't mind seeing Sheamus hold on to that title for a long time. I think he's well due for it. He's well deserving of it as well.
The way that the bracket lays out, we already know that in the semifinals, which is essentially probably going to happen after or close to around Survivor Series or after Survivor Series. So, like, not even next week, but maybe the week after, so we can get all these first round matches out of the way. But we already know Sheamus and Rusev, one of those are going to the semifinals, which is kind of crazy to think, right? When you think about all the people that could potentially face John Cena, when we get down to the final four, one of them is either going to be Rusev or Sheamus, right? So it's not going to be just the Edges and Jerichos and all these crazy thoughts that people think it's going to be. You know what I mean? The Joe Hendrys, the Randy Ortons. Not saying there's anything wrong with those, but I guess, you just look at those names and, like you say, based on where they are currently, obviously the Intercontinental Championship and beating John Cena could take them more places. But I think that's a pretty cool thing just in itself, to think that one of those people essentially is one win away from the finals, for the sense of one of those is guaranteed to be in the semifinals, because it'll be Rusev versus Sheamus. And I will tell you, we've already seen in the past, whether it's at WrestleMania and things like that, that those guys can definitely put on a banger against each other. I think we saw it over in Europe earlier this year and things. So those guys, I think, are going to put on a great match against each other. They're very like-minded styles. So I can't wait to see that. And how about this? No current champions exist in WWE that held championship gold at WrestleMania this past year. Dominic Mysterio was the last one, Intercontinental Champion way back to WrestleMania. He is no longer. So to put a bow on this, what do we see? We got 3 dates left for John Cena. Throw away New York City as because that opponent, that's a Raw. That could be a fun opponent, just one time only. What do we see him doing at Survivor Series? What do we see him doing for his last match? What we know today.
I mean, there's a lot of avenues here. I mean, I hope it's not just talking points. I hope it's not.
Well, no, Survivor Series is a pay-per-view. It'll be a match, right? Raw might be a talking point, might be a promo.
Do you think? I mean, when is that? That last time is now. That ends in December, though, correct?
December 13th.
That's right. That last appearance for Cena, correct?
Correct. He's got 3 appearances left, counting Monday. His last Raw is on Monday. Then he just has Survivor Series and the match.
I mean, they could. I mean, the only thing I could think of at this point, besides obviously the 13th, December 13th, is maybe there's a rematch in line for Dominic Mysterio. I mean, that could be something that they could
Survivor
do.
Series is in San Diego. That's where a lot of people thought this match was originally going to take place. So if you were to ask me, I think it's going to be John Cena and Dominic Mysterio with maybe special referee Rey Mysterio.
I like that. I like that flavor.
At the Survivor Series. And then, you know what I mean? So I will say, I originally thought when John Cena won the belt, he's going to lose it immediately at Survivor Series, kind of just get it, put it on his record, and then give it back to Dominic Mysterio. But as we've been discussing and as I've been thinking with the whole Sheamus idea, and everything related to him, all of a sudden now I think, he could be going into that last match similar to Sting with the championship on the line. I guess my thing is, though, again, having a championship on the line. We've talked about this before. It's his last match. He's not going to wrestle anymore. We saw it with Sting. He was going to retire with the belt if he retired. I don't like the fact that I don't think that that's going to happen this time around. So if he does go in with the Intercontinental Championship, because it's not the world title either, so it's not like he's going out world champion. He's really no real reason to go out Intercontinental Champion. Yeah. I think that if he goes in Intercontinental Champion, it gives away the finish of his match on December 13th. That's my take.
No, you're right. That's exactly what it would do, because if he's retired, he's retired. So he's not going to be facing any more opponents if he were.
And he's not one to want to go out on top. He's kind of made this tournament as the idea that he's going to put somebody over. So, I mean, there's a chance he could still win if he's not the Intercontinental Champion, and maybe that is, just the guy put up a good showing and he shakes hands at the end and says, "You can't beat me, but hey, I still made you by, the showing at the match."
That would be cool.
But it has to be without the IC title on the line.
I mean, that would be cool because they could. I mean, there's another possible, hypothetical where they could do an Intercontinental Championship bracket. So they go from the last time is now bracket to this Intercontinental bracket. That could be something that they could do as well. So I'm not saying
he does win, leaves with the championship, and then we have a tournament to decide a new champion.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that. I don't think that's too far-fetched the more I think about it, because that would actually probably be a lot cooler because no one's expecting it. You know what I mean? Because you just said, that gives away the finish. Maybe not. Maybe he does take the title and say, and then and then after the match is over, they cut a promo and say, "Hey, I know I have this belt. I am still going to retire. So I'm going to give the belt to, say, Adam Pearce or whoever, Triple H probably, because they've had big moments, so they probably do Triple H, and say, all right, time to find your next champion. I'm out." And that's it.
I mean, time will tell. We're less than a month away from John Cena's final match.
Isn't that crazy?
In 1 month, John Cena will be. Yeah. It's crazy to think because it was a good 6 months prior to the year starting that John Cena announced this year. I was at the Money in the Bank in Toronto when he announced this year that, this was going to be his end. So we had 6 months to lead up to the final, right? We had 6 months to lead up to the Netflix debut.
18-month thing here.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that it's coming to an end. It's crazy to think that 18 months has flown by that quick. But that's life for you when you get older. John Cena's 1 month away from being done with the WWE. And he's only got 3 more dates left, and I'll be watching all of them. So I can't wait to see what we have left for John Cena.